Hi, this is episode 8 of year 2 of my journey to become a stronger person, double bodyweight squat specifically. So last week was a bit of a psychological kind of take on things, looking at the impact I was getting from weekly weigh-ins or daily weigh-ins or multiple daily weigh-ins and the toll it was beginning to take. So um, this week taking a bit of a different sidestep back into some data. And so what I kind of started off with, basically going back about a month, was a point of frustration where the backward step I'd taken in terms of training to more volume, the back to the Dylan Watkins 3 sets of 10, wasn't working because I couldn't shift this nagging TFL glute tightness, irritation, and whilst I was okay at the really lighter loads, as soon as I got somewhere near a challenge, it was just too uncomfortable. It wasn't painful, but uncomfortable. I knew that it was impeding my squatting ability. I got a couple of back spasms because I was favouring one side more than the other, and it's like, well, this has to change. I need to do something different. So that's when I went to the Yes 1x20 approach by recommendation by Adam Scott. So again, thank you for that recommendation because I discounted it many years ago. So the data I had just promised. What I've got here is basically the mean concentric velocity for some loads I've been working on. It's about three and a half weeks now. So I'll just kind of bring this up again. So the real positive news today, I'm going to move to this far right hand column as I look at it, is this 90 kilo load. So as I've just said there, about a month ago, I couldn't do 90 kilos without being in a good deal of discomfort. Not pain, but a good deal of discomfort. And it was certainly limiting my ability to do it with the correct technique and balance. So today, I did 20 reps, comfort free, with what I think was good technique. I couldn't see all the reps myself, but I believe they were good technique with no discomfort, and I can use both legs equally, both eccentrically and concentrically. So that for me is a massive win. Like I'm not talking double bodyweight squat numbers here just yet, but it's a point in time where I can say I have made progress. Made progress in terms of load I can tolerate and hip pain and all those things. So that I can't speak highly enough about kind of the effect that's had. But what I can see here from basically is we can see at 65 it was like an average of 0.69 meters per second, and as you'd expect, with increasing load, the velocity have gone down. That kind of you'd anticipate that. But the decrement for me is what's king here is like I've been really conservative and moving up as I feel comfortable and confident that I could do so with completing the sets, but also not challenging that hip so it went backwards rather than forwards. Um, but like doing 90 0.56 but only 0.69 for 65 kilos, that's a 25 kilo increase across 20 repetitions. Don't forget, we're not talking 2 and 3 reps, it's for 20 reps to be 0.56. So yes, I'm not doing it at the same velocities, but that's a big load increase for not that much deficit. What you can see of these error bars are the highest or the fastest and slowest repetitions. So I think the big, for me, one of the big kind of go ahead I had was I think it was Monday. I did 85 kilos. You can see here actually a marginal increase in velocity, but you can see the slowest rep was significantly faster than the slowest rep at 80 kilos. So that meant I'd made progress. The pain was going, and that was I'm not going to say I got stronger. I'm allowed to access more of the strength than I was before. So that's why I'm more confident. That's why I'm more positive than I have been for a while. Not because I didn't think I'd gotten stronger in those programs. I just felt like I could never really push myself to find out how strong I had gotten because this hip issue was kind of blighting my training. The other lifts are getting better as well. The downside of kind of pushing yourself hard on the first set of squats, even though that's your priority, is obviously then it drains you for what comes afterwards. By the time you get to the 15th exercise, the 15th set of 20 or something, you kind of spent. But that's been really I mean, I'm working as hard as I've ever worked in the gym, which for those people who know me will probably kind of comment that's probably a long time overdue. But going back into the singles and triples and sets of 5 is, yeah, they were hard from a strength point of view, but they were not like, I never left the gym sweaty. unless it was like it is today, 30 degrees outside. And I've enjoyed that form of training, but I've got to say, this program, you do one set and you move on to the next thing, and I don't think it's going to be something I'll live with for a long time. But whatever it's helping, I'm feeling like it's a really helpful process for me to go through. So that's good. That also means it opens up the opportunity to look at a load velocity test fairly soon. I'm not getting giddy, not getting carried away. I don't want to start putting 130, 140 on a bar, having not done anything like that for a while. But it would be nice to kind of put myself in that kind of position where I can test out just where I am relative to last year and where I am to my goals. So really, really positive news. So if you are somebody that's struggling with these kind of soft tissue, ligament, tendon, muscular issues in your 40s, or 30s, 40s, 50s, and thinking, I'd like to do something, but I can't seem to get injury free, give this a go. I was quite negative about it, and it's completely changed my perspective. This is not the program for everybody, for all things, for all seasons. I would never advocate that, but I'm just saying, give it a bash. It might be good for you. The other piece of information is I'd moved on to an alternative way of looking at body composition. I still want to do double body weight squats, so looking at body weight is always going to be important. But I'm starting to realise now that it's not important for me on a daily basis. It's not important for me to look at all the time. And body composition kind of was. That became more of the pressing issue. And I had an emotional attachment to the weight that wasn't helping me at all. So if the weight went up, I'd be in a good mood. If the weight went down, I'd be in a bad mood. And I was always in a worse mood than the equivalent positive mood that I get into. So it had to go. I still want them to come down because that means I have to squat less. And I still want to have less body fat because that's just good for you. But I had to take a different approach to measuring it and something that allowed me to be more positive more of the time. And therefore look at things which are much more stable and measure true change and actually measure the thing I'm more concerned about, which is body composition, whereas weight on the scales, yes, it does have links to body composition, but it could be a number of different things rather than actually gaining mass and increasing fat mass or decreasing fat mass, and so on and so forth. So I went to girth measurements, so that's taking kind of basically around your hips, around your waist, around your chest, and measure that once a week. So I'm down to a single point of measurement once per week. So early days again, but getting myself away from the weighing scales is probably going to be helpful once I get better at it. So what's happened here, basically, chest size has increased and slight decreases in hip and waist size. So you'd basically say as an adult male that I'd have greater adipose tissue around the abdomen than I would do the chest. So if the chest is increasing and the abdomen is decreasing, you would say that would be an increase in muscularity and a decrease in body fat percentage. So initial signs are quite positive. What happened today was I had a decrease increase in chest size and a decrease in waist size, but my body mass was higher, which in previous weeks would have destroyed me. I would have had a very negative response to that, especially prior going to the gym. I'd been in a negative mindset going to the gym, probably chuck out a lot of cortisol, and that's not going to help my recovery either. But I was much more measured in that response. It didn't really kind of get me up or down. I think I would have had an entirely positive response if I've had these results and a lower weight. But I was fairly neutral after this because I knew that the measurements of body fatness, which would be around the hip and waist, were down. So that tells me that I'm getting leaner and that I'm increasing upper body musculature potentially. Because the chest size had increased. Now, I'm not particularly chasing hypertrophy, and I don't see that as a positive, but I don't see it as a negative either. I'm not trying to get a bigger upper body. That's not the purpose. But it does mean that I can interpret the data in a result that's a positive for me rather than a negative for me. So I'm kind of much more balanced today. And as a result of that, I think I train much better. So I think those changes that I made are going to be helpful for me in the long run. And hopefully it'll continue. Now, the curveball is next week I'm going on holiday for a week. So my goal is to try and get as good a training, as good as diet as I can have for a week, and then bank that and know that I've earned a period of time off, 7 days off, and come back in again. Like, there's only so much damage I can do in 7 days, and it's not going to be great. But it's a family holiday, and that's what I should be doing. So having a bit of time away from it, and then earning the right to have a rest. So that's this next week, and hopefully in a couple of weeks' time I can come back and repost, and I'm in a roughly similar position, and I've not fallen off the wagon completely. But hopefully, yeah. There you go, and see you all next time.